So, John, what's the drunkest you've ever been, and what happened?
Well, appropriately enough, Harry, it actually happened around Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was the first year after I moved away for university,
Mm-hmm.
and I went back home for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
as one does. And I went back on a night out. I think it was on Christmas Eve. I went out on a night out with my old school friends. Obviously, we hadn't seen each other in like 2 whole months. Most of these people have now not seen it upwards of a decade, but at the time it felt big.
Of course, yeah.
So we all went out.
Christmas Eve, the drunkest you've ever been.
Christmas Eve was always the night out. Like it was always a big night out when you were a teenager. Never for you.
No.
Okay. Well, it always was. Christmas Eve was like the big night out because everyone had to do Christmas Day with their families. So we went to we went to like a bar and it was like 4 people deep. You know, it was there's pre-coronavirus times when you could just happily be crammed in like a sardine with like 200 other people without a care in the world. But because it was incredibly busy, everyone, whenever we got to the bar, we'd buy like 3 rounds of beer at once, just so you wouldn't have to queue up again, as you do again. But that just meant that there was always beer to hand. And
sensible 18-year-old.
Yeah, well, in that sense, yes. But, anyway, there were lots of people buying rounds in, and there was lots of beer being passed back and forth, and the night went on, and and then I woke up on the couch 6 a.m. on Christmas Day, and my dad is furiously shaking me. He's purple with rage. He's like, "John, get up right now, and clean this sick off the sofa before your mum gets up." So I had to, feeling like absolute death, I had to scrape like dried sick off the sofa. I'd clearly just walked in and just gone like blah on the sofa.
And then just fallen asleep in it.
I'd fallen asleep adjacent to it, so then I had to scrape it all up and, clean it. And then I had to sit there on Christmas morning and try and act all happy and, be grateful for presents. And just all I wanted to do was curl up in a ball and die.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't go out drinking on Christmas Eve. Because that's what might happen.
Sure.
Not that that's ever happened to me, but just like the fear has always been there. Like, oh God, imagine being hungover on Christmas.
I don't know, I feel like it's part of the whole experience of Christmas.
Actually, I did once have a very bad Christmas experience with alcohol. I think a few days before Christmas. I was already down at my parents' house for Christmas, and a day or two before, my dad gives me some beer, and it turns out that beer was just a little teensy bit out of date.
Oh no! Was it like a homebrew?
No, it was
just something he'd poured. Like, oh god, crap! I've not bought a gift for Harry. Just pour some old beers out of the back of his fridge or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like a few months out of date, so like it doesn't sound like a lot for something that's in a sealed tin.
Sure, yeah.
But I drank that and I got very ill. I don't really get ill, but
what?
I mean, other than hangovers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was a hangover. Okay, fine. I was going to say you can't now tell me that you don't really get hangovers.
And it was just one of those horrible illnesses that just wipes you out for a few days. I slept through Christmas. As in, I went to sleep on Christmas Eve and I woke up and it was Boxing Day.
Oh, wow. So this was like food poisoning then?
I guess. Yeah.
It wasn't like you just got too drunk on it?
But no, not at all. No, I maybe had 3 beers or something. That's not enough to like make you sleep through Christmas.
No, you'd hope not.
I was very ill. I won't go into a lot of detail, but both ends.
Yeah, so food poisoning. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And it was definitely the beers.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I was the only person who had any kind of illness.
Okay.
I was the only person who drank the out-of-date beer.
Oh, well.
So, yeah.
Oh, well done, Dad.
Yeah, thanks. I never let him forget it.
No.
Anyway, on with the show.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Bar humbug, happy December, or whatever applies to whatever belief you have.
Sorry, the options are Merry Christmas or bar humbug.
and happy December.
And happy December, okay.
Just in case people don't care about Christmas either way.
Screw you, Hanukkah. Yeah. Up yours, Kwanzaa.
Well, anyway, I think we can all agree December is going to bring a much-needed end to 2020.
Yes, true. I mean, it's picking up towards the end, to be honest.
And it's going to bring on 2021, a year when nothing's going to go wrong.
We hope. I mean, we
Biden's going to be president, and we're going to get a vaccine. Those two things are definitely happening.
Well, yeah.
They're both 100. It's going to be a good year.
Okay. I hope you're right. Yeah.
But you know what is going to happen next year?
Mm-hmm.
We're still going to be here.
We're still going to podcast.
So, welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are picturing prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to Black Christmas for the start of our December Christmas season.
Yay.
We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing from our listeners with the ideas that they have posted on our social media pages. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most sobriety.
Oh, yes. Well,
Because I'm not drinking a beer right now.
yeah, I'll give it a week.
And joining me as always, the host who's most likely to get murdered in his sleep. Ho, ho, ho. It's John Lucas.
Is that some kind of a threat?
It's whatever you want to make of it.
Okay.
But yeah. So, Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, yes.
This was
a you pick.
what I guess, yeah.
You picked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I didn't really know what I was picking, to be honest.
No.
I didn't even know what version of this I was picking.
I'm glad I stood up for us to do the original. Because I think you
Yeah.
were initially wanting to do one of the remakes.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want to watch the original. And I am very pleased that I thought of that.
I'm
point. So
really pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I'm going to make a strong statement. I think this is the best film you've ever chosen on this podcast.
I think that you'd already disagree with that. You're forgetting some of the amazing choices I've made, like Waterworld. You really enjoyed that.
True. Okay, this is but Waterworld was shit. It was just a lot of fun to talk about. You've introduced me to, for the first time I think in 4 years, a film that I think might be a future all-time favorite of mine that I'd never seen before.
I think that it's accidentally a very you film.
Oh yes, I'm
Very-
amazed that you picked this and not me.
Yeah.
This never happens, listeners.
Yeah. Really, you think this is the film that you've enjoyed the most?
Well, more that it's just the most me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more common for me to pick a film that you've not seen than for you to pick a film that I've not seen. Mm-hmm. Or at least it'd be a film that you would know nothing about, or I'd have a vague idea about. I mean, to be fair, I had heard of this film.
You've enjoyed films like Dom Hemingway.
Yes, no, you've had. I'm not saying it's been a 4-year run of shit and then this, but I mean, I'm not saying that either. But no, you picked some good ones. But I just think this is the first time that I can remember where you've picked something that I've not seen before, where I'm like, wow, this really is pushing all of my buttons.
Yeah.
This all my movie-going buttons are being pushed in this film.
Yeah.
So I loved this.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that we did it, and I really thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll challenge you to do the same next week.
I already know what I've chosen next week, and challenge denied.
Okay. Cool. Right, great. Well, I can't wait. Okay, so Black Christmas. This is a 1974 horror movie. Horror?
Yes.
Definitely a horror movie, yes.
Yeah, well, it's
Don't know
one
why
of
I questioned that.
considered one of the first slasher movies because it predates Halloween, which is
right,
which most people consider to be the first like major
Yeah.
horror movie, but this actually inspired Halloween.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen Halloween, but I know it.
You've not seen Halloween?
Well, guess we're watching that tonight then, aren't we?
Great, perfect, good. The original, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent, yes, good. No, it's genuinely true. Halloween...
It amazes me that you're still surprised that I've not seen a movie. I even warned you about this today when we were talking about what we're going to watch tonight. I said, name something. I've not seen it.
Sure, but I mean, we've been doing this... have you not seen any kind of Halloween movie?
Nope.
You've never seen any of the Halloween movies? Okay.
Never.
Interesting. Okay. Well...
The closest I've seen is I watched Scream this week.
Sure.
Last week or something.
You're bouncing around then. You've watched everything. You've watched the film that inspired Halloween and the film that Halloween, inspired.
Yeah.
But you just need to get to Halloween itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, this will be less interesting to you than having not seen Scream, but having not seen Halloween, but basically Halloween was envisioned as a sequel to Black Christmas.
All right.
And then it just became its own thing because when the film came out and it was fairly successful, and they were talking up making a sequel as they often do for horror movies, and they asked, and I think John Carpenter, who ended up writing and directing Halloween, approached the writer and director of Black Christmas and said, "So if there was to be a sequel to this film, what's your idea?" And he said, "Well, the killer comes back, but instead of being Christmas, it's Halloween." And then they just did that, but they just didn't make a connection between the two films. And
that's actually the idea that I've come up with as well. But
oh well, okay. Well, so your idea is Halloween.
I wonder.
Oh, God. See, this is why you need to watch more films. But we'll get to that.
I watch multiple films a week. All right,
Sure.
I'm doing the best I can do.
You are okay. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
But so very influential, very good film, and yes, an early example of the horror slasher genre.
Well, yeah. Well, is this our first slasher?
I don't. Yeah,
I mean, there's not many that we can do.
Yeah, they are so often given it to be franchises, any that do particularly well. I can't. We must have done. Maybe we've done like comedy slashers, if they even count. I don't know. I don't know. Possibly. It's a genre I'm quite fond of, but yeah, they're all franchises, so
Yeah.
it's difficult to work them into this particular podcast.
Yeah.
But we made a little exception here. We decided to waive our no remakes rule. Yeah, and I'm glad we did.
Well, we're running low on Christmas movies.
We are. Yeah, it's always going to be a challenge. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We've run through the Love Actuallys, the Holidays, the Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, some of the classics.
Joe, like I have some ideas for this year. Don't you worry. But
Good. Yeah. I'm waiting for it. Right. So plot summary. Please do help.
Sure.
But, so we start off. We're in a sorority house.
Yes, it's an American sorority house, or possibly a Canadian sorority house. It's unclear where they are.
Yeah.
Because I know the film was shot in Canada.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, but I think, the actors come from all over the world. We'll discuss accents. But yes.
I'd say the underlying accent is Canadian.
Sure. Okay, I'll go with that.
I kept noticing people saying oot and stuff.
Ah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'd imagine a lot of the supporting players were probably Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember clearly Olivia Hussey is not Canadian.
No.
The main actress.
She wasn't trying to be.
No, she was not. I don't think the other two main girls, I think Margot Kidder is American. Maybe she's Canadian? I don't know. I don't know. But yes, it's...
I guess we'll never know. There's no way of finding out.
There's no possible way we could Google this. But anyway, point being, yes, this film is set in North America in a sorority.
Yeah.
And the opening shot is a first-person perspective view of a creepy, snickering, sinister figure climbing into the attic or up the wall.
Well, first of all, he goes to the front door, and then he just kind of gives up on that.
like that idea that he just thinks, you know what? No, I'm going to be subtle.
Yeah,
I'm not just going to knock on the door and start killing people. I'll scale the wall.
Yeah.
But he considers it.
Yeah. He scales the wall and climbs into the attic. Did he know that the attic was uninhabited?
I mean, this movie does not tell us a lot about the killer's identity, motivations,
not at all.
Gender, species. We know nothing.
Quantity.
We don't know anything about the killer, really.
Yeah.
We see one eyeball and maybe a hand, I think, in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is great.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I love not knowing who the villain is or even seeing a villain at all. Because there are a few characters in this who we see and we don't, and they're not ruled out as being the killer.
Sure.
But they're all extremely minor characters.
Yeah.
Everybody who's a major character is pretty much ruled out as being the killer. So the killer is just nobody interesting.
Yeah. No, and that makes it so much scarier.
Yeah, it really does. And I was really wondering if, so the main character's boyfriend, I think it's called Peter. Yeah. I was really wondering if it was him because obviously that's where the film was.
That's what the film wants you to think.
Yeah. But I was thinking okay, that feels really obvious that it's making me want to think that it's him. So is it him or is it not him? I don't know how smart this film is, and I think I'm just trying to sort of double guess myself too many times, and so now I just don't know what to think. Yeah. It either is him or it isn't.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he has no motivation to kill any of the other girls.
Because
we're jumping ahead, but
I think I would have found it a bit of a surprise if it was him, because it was so obvious that he was a red herring. Yeah. So I was like, oh, is the twist going to be that it is him actually? But then that's kind of not a twist because
it's kind of a double twist. It's it makes you assume something, and then you think, no, that's too obvious, and then does it anyway. Yeah. But no, it probably would have been a bit of a letdown. It was just, oh, yes, it's the one person who's most likely to have done it, did it. That's kind of a boring way to go about it. No, I love the anonymity of the killer. It's great. It's so unsettling. Yeah. So he scales the walls, and the girls are having this sorority party. Obviously, unbeknownst to them, there's some guys outside. And we've got the main character. There's a bunch of people in this house this time, but we have our main core. We have Olivia Hussey, a distractingly English Olivia Hussey.
Hello.
Oh my God, the phone. Yeah, I was going to ask. Did you laugh as well?
That's a drinking game for me.
Yeah.
Hello.
But the first time she answered that phone, I laughed so hard. Pardon. Hello. Well, who is there? She sounds like fucking Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant.
Hello? Pardon? Who? Bob, it's for you. Long distance.
She was great, yeah. So we've got her, we've got Bob.
Best character.
Clearly best character,
yeah.
Bob.
I mean, she's the reason that we chose this.
Was she?
Yeah, instead of the remake, because I was reading up the
Oh, we saw the her character's name. Yeah.
her character name was Often Inebriated Barb, and I was
Yes.
like, this is the film for us.
Yes, indeed, absolutely.
And
Played by-
and you know what? I don't think often or inebriated are the two words that I would use to describe her. Barb is correct,
Yeah.
but often, no, always.
Always an inebriated.
Literally always.
Yeah.
Like, actually not a second in this film where she is not...
Clutching a tumbler of whiskey
Yeah.
with a cigarette between these two fingers.
Yeah. And inebriated feels like an understatement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you would call her constantly pissed Barb.
Yeah.
Permanently pissed Barb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. Played by Margot Kidder, who is probably best known as the original Lois Lane in the Superman movies from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yep.
70s and 80s.
70s and 80s, yeah. So I think she did them short after this. So they're the main two.
Still a couple of years after this.
Yeah. It was a while, yeah.
But I just had a quick look through Margot Kidder's career. Didn't recognise a single thing other than Superman in this.
No, well, she had kind of a sad life story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she had a lot of mental health problems and she ended up killing herself. So it's a bit bleak.
Okay.
So we'll skim over that for now. But R.I.P. Margot Kidder, you were great in this movie. Yeah, and then there's also Phyllis, Phil, whose personality is glasses. That's what she has.
Yes.
She wears glasses, and that's about all she gives.
Yep.
And then there's also Claire, who's the good girl, the professional virgin, the first one who dies.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, the professional virgin, as Bob calls her. And she's wearing a...
She's the only one who looks like she was the age that
Yes.
she was supposed to be.
Yeah, the others are all like a cool 35.
Yeah.
And she's like...
Yeah.
She actually looks like she's 17. But she does have a fantastic like plaid skirt that looks very clueless that I really enjoyed. So
Yeah.
she looked great, but unfortunately she was not long for this world.
No.
So they're having this sorority party for Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
Among
Well, is
various...
it like a sort of a goodbye before the holidays party?
Yeah,
maybe?
I guess. Well, here's the thing. Christmas in this movie doesn't really play a huge role.
It's not Christmas, really. Is
Like,
it?
it's there, but it's not there.
Well, there's carol singers.
There's the carol singers scene, yes.
Yeah.
And, there's always the talk about how they're all going to go home for Christmas, and that's why Claire's dad rocks up. And so I guess it's kind of there and it's not there.
I kind of wanted like a Christmas Day slasher movie. And it wasn't Christmas
This
Day.
wasn't that, no.
And it wasn't near to Christmas Day, and there weren't really many Christmas decorations.
No, and there weren't a lot of
There-
Christmas references.
There was
particularly.
there was an occasional fairy light.
Yeah.
That was
I mean,
about
it was the 70s. I don't know. Yeah. but I don't know what they had, but...
Jesus' body was still warm in the 70s.
Indeed,
Christmas was quite new.
Yeah, it was a new concept. They were still wrapping their heads around it. Sure. Yeah. But do you know what the original title of this movie was?
No.
The working title before they decided on Black Christmas was Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is just chef's kiss. Just brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that before. From
It might have been reused, or maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
So yes, they're all having this.
That works better than this.
I like it better too, but they just went with Black Christmas. I don't know what to tell you. Marketing for you. Yes, so they're having a party with sundry other extras and supporting characters. I love how everyone looked so 70s.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. I mean the filter on the camera made everything look a bit 70s as well.
Well, sure, that too.
It'd still be nice and fuzzy. There's something about that, just like when everybody looks just that little bit fuzzy and their voices are all just a bit sort of crackly from old microphones and they all talk like hello, then they all just look really old. Even
They
though
do, yeah.
they don't actually look old, they just
Yeah, no, yes, the styling
what I
makes them. No, it's true. Everyone always looks older in old movies. That's
Yeah.
very much the case. Maybe they were all like 15. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't think Margot Robbie. I don't think Margot Kidder was 15.
No.
Maybe Olivia Hussey was. I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, I just love all of the. Well, the outfits were fantastic. We'll talk about outfits. Obviously, that's a whole drinking game section in itself.
Yeah.
But just the amount of like questionable facial hair on the male characters is just And they all look just look like people, like,
Yeah.
which is great. They don't look like they're all like movie stars. It's just like here's a bunch of oddities who are just at parties together. So
Yeah,
it's
pretty
great.
much.
Yeah, so they're having this party, and then the phone rings for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time, it's not the killer; it's Margot Kidder's mother.
Right, okay.
Only notable because she answers the phone and they have a whole conversation, and she calls her mother a gold-plated whore, which is a great line.
Oh, I don't remember that.
No, I think it's
I think it's just
supposed-
because like it's right at the start of the film, and
you're still working your way in.
yeah, and like it's not really referenced again either.
No, I think what it's trying to set up which it doesn't really explore particularly, but is that because obviously Margot Kidder's character is a big old lush. I think the idea is that she's come from like a difficult family, and her mom's like basically cancelled Christmas because she wants to go and I think her mom wants to spend Christmas with whoever she's shacked up with at that moment.
Yeah.
And so Margot Kidder's like, oh, you're a gold-plated whore, mom, and it's like, and then I think it's just setting up that she's the troubled one, basically. But yeah, we get that phone call. But then they get the second phone call, which is from the heavy breather.
Yeah.
Who's been bothering them for weeks, it seems.
So with these phone calls, they get more and more intense as the film goes on.
I really like this.
It starts off where it's just a guy who's heavy breathing, he's sort of mumbling a little bit, like he might...
I mean, he does say he wants to like stick his finger in their pink cunt or whatever he says. Like, it's pretty foul.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to that, yeah, but
that's on the first call.
Yeah, sure. But then, like, by the end of it, it sounds like children being murdered.
Yeah,
I'm not exaggerating.
No, it does.
Like,
no, it's really interesting. The amount of different, it's lots of different voices and sounds and screaming and animal noises. It's not just your standard issue heavy breathing.
It's really bizarre, and also it's delivered through just a weird audio quality as well. Which not just like of a film of the 70s, but like
also
a phone
recording in a film in the 70s.
Yeah, and it is really off-putting.
Which
also
works. Yeah.
It's never explained.
No,
like you never see what's making those noises, because you never see the person who's making them and all the other things that are happening on those phone calls.
No, I mean the soundproofing in this house must be insane.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later. But like, yeah, I mean, because spoiler alert, the calls are coming from inside the house.
Yeah,
drink. But yeah, it's insane. Somewhere in this attic, he's making these incredible noises. Yeah. But yeah, I love this scene of them all four of the main girls. They're all huddled around the phone. This is obviously the 70s, so it's an old landline. And Olivia Hussey is holding up the receiver, and then they can all hear this guy saying all this. Like, really, I was really like surprised that a film that came out in the 70s had the C word in it. Like, they really went there. So it's all this is going through, and the girls.
This film feel a bit progressive to you
this
in
film,
some ways.
Yeah,
because it's got that major conversation about abortion.
This film feels feminist as fuck. Yeah. Like there are no interesting male characters, and the women it definitely passes the Bechdel test. Like the women talk about things other than men, and yeah, Olivia Hussey. I mean, I'm not sure what it's saying about abortion at the end of the film, or about given that she presumably comes to a bad end. Like I don't know, but yeah, on the whole, I think it's very interesting the way it's
I think it was quite obvious what it was saying about abortion. It didn't change its opinion by the end. Like
but I mean, like she does get punished. Maybe not for the abortion, but she gets punished in that she probably dies. I mean, the ending is ambiguous.
It's very ambiguous.
Yeah,
like anything could happen after this.
True. Yeah. But no, I agree with you. I do think it's a very notably. I mean, feminist might be too strong, but it's definitely like.
No, I don't think so.
The women are good, strong characters. They've all got different, interesting backstories to varying degrees. Another thing I noticed, which is they never get their tits out. And that sounds like a flippant thing to say, but in like a lot of these films, especially in the 70s, they had this very exploitative thing where you would see the main female characters would at some point get topless, and there's none of that. They're all dressed like fully dressed in the whole film. There's none of that like titillation part of it.
No, there's not.
Even the murders are pretty much off screen. It doesn't like fetishize the way the girls are being killed. They're not like being like choked or. I mean, I know Claire has the plastic bag over her head and stuff, but like it all happens
quick though.
Yeah, it all happens off screen. It's not like giving you any kind of opportunity to kind of get off on it. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think this film has a really interesting for a film of its time. Certainly, it's got a very interesting perspective. So I appreciated that.
Was it made by many women?
The writer and director was a guy, but I don't know if any women were involved particularly in the process. But I don't know how this turned out the way it did. But it's just a weird little odyssey. But I love it. Yeah. But yeah, I love this initial phone call when they're all the girls are around the receiver, and they're all. I mean, they seem somewhat scandalized, but also a little bit like, oh, it's this guy again. Like they're kind of, it's an exciting. I guess they're like teenage girls. But I love that how Barb is just like Barb's on board.
She's so into it.
She's so enjoying this moment. Yeah, like she's just like because when he's saying all the like really like sexual stuff, Barb's just kind of making this face like, yeah, okay, he's doing a good job this week. This is some good material. Like,
I feel like she's getting off on it.
She's certainly finding it entertaining. Yeah, and then she kind of gives as good as she gets, and she picks up the receiver and comes back at him. I mean, she also does say, you can't rape a townie, which I was like, whoa, Barb, whoa.
Yeah, calm down there.
That was it, because the good girl Claire says, you shouldn't encourage this guy, because didn't you hear that girl from town got raped last week? And she's like, you can't rape a townie, Claire. It's like, oh wow, Barb. Too far.
Yeah.
That, not cool, Barb. Not
Yeah.
cool.
My fat cock.
Oh, why don't you go find a wall socket and stick your tongue in it? That'll give you a charge.
I'll stick my tongue up your pretty pussy.
You fucking creep!
I'm going to kill you.
Well, super tongue strikes again.
Fastest tongue in the West.
That was sick. I really don't think you should provoke somebody like that, Barb.
Oh, listen, this guy's minor league in the city. I get 2 of those a day.
Maybe. But you know that town girl was raped a couple of weeks ago.
Darling, you can't rape a townie.
You really are too much, Barb.
But yeah, she's kind of definitely giving as good as she gets. But then Claire, who is our good girl, like I mentioned, she gets a little bit offended. She's like, "Oh, you're too much, Barb. You're just too much." And she goes upstairs to pack for meeting her father the next day to go home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then she gets suffocated with a plastic bag.
Yeah.
She's our first victim.
Now, she's the first and only for ages.
Yeah.
Like, so when we get set up with like a sorority house with, you know, like 6 characters or whatever, and they've all got that slightly different personality, and then one of them there's murder in the house, one of them gets murdered. I'm like, okay, well, it's going to get picked off one by one.
Yeah.
But then it goes for like a solid 45 minutes where it's just like, oh God, where's Claire? Is she missing? There's a
I mean,
police report, and we'll get to this.
yeah. Good.
But yeah, it's 45 minutes. It's just all about this one murder that's happened. Like, okay, it's not a film that's a slasher where everybody dies. It's just about one murder. Okay, that's interesting.
But I do think
I
most.
prefer it as the slasher with the final girl and everything, just because it.
I mean, it gets to that. But
yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
no, yeah.
But I think a lot of horror movies, they'll have like your first kill to set the stakes, and then they'll spend a bit of time with the rest of the characters. Like you watched Scream recently, right?
I'd say that's a bit more extreme.
It is, but like Drew Barrymore dies at the start, and then I think there's probably a good half hour before the next person dies.
Yeah, but then it's not all about Drew Barrymore. Like it immediately just moves.
Oh, I
scenes,
see what you
doesn't
mean.
it?
Whereas they spend a lot of time on the fact that, oh, where's Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like for the following 45 minutes, the film is about the person who died.
Yeah. True.
Whereas Scream isn't about Drew Barrymore
No, not at all.
at all.
You're right. Okay, sure. So she gets strangled or suffocated with a plastic bag. Again, all happens kind of very quickly off screen. The film handles the violence very well. It doesn't like dwell on it. It doesn't show you very much. You just see the hand reach out, and then you see her face in the plastic bag.
Yeah.
And then her corpse is like stuck in in a rocking chair in the attic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
For the rest of the film.
for the rest of the whole film.
Now let's get into this.
Okay, sure.
So the police work in this film
Is abysmal.
is some of the worst I've ever seen.
I would say the worst. I think this is the most inept police department I've seen in any film I've ever watched. Yeah.
I mean, my favorite bit, which is jumping, so right to the end, where they work out that the call is coming from inside the house.
Sure.
Which, again, we'll get to. And then the chief of police just he calls back to the station and says like, okay, well, you know, just make sure that like you get her to leave the house. Don't tell her that the call has come from within the house. If you do, then like I'll get you or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But basically, like he learns, oh, the call's coming from in house. I know. I'll put my worst man on the case.
Yeah, I think it's his only man.
The most incompetent police officer there's ever been.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that he's got a small pool to kind of drag from in this particular scenario. But yes.
What about his partner?
True.
Who was just the guy laughing in the office with him all the time?
That's a good point. Maybe he was even worse. You don't know.
Maybe,
do you?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Claire is missing.
Yeah.
As far as they know, reported to the police missing. Like it's an official search.
Yeah.
They're searching the park for her and everything. Like
No, they're searching the park for the 13-year-old girl.
oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. That's a little subplot. No, they don't take this seriously at all. They're just like, well, she doesn't. The next day, she doesn't turn up to meet her father. Yeah. And so her father goes to the house, and it's like, oh, where's Claire? And then they're kind of looking for her, but the police don't seem to take it particularly seriously. They're like, oh, well, she's a teenage girl. She's probably with her boyfriend. She's somewhere. And then it turns out that a 13-year-old girl has been murdered in the park, and then they're like, well, she's still probably fine. Like they don't. They make no connection between the fact that a little girl has been murdered or a teenage girl has been murdered, another girl has disappeared, and the house that the missing girl lived in is now receiving crazy, obscene phone calls.
That's when they put it together.
But it takes them a long time to make those connections.
It does take them a fair duration to get there. But even then, Nobody thinks to search the house.
No,
They
nobody
book-
ever
they-
searches the house.
They book the phone, but they don't search the house. They don't even like search her bedroom or anything.
They must never walk in. Yeah, it's crazy.
I just don't get it. Like, surely that's investigating work 101. That's
Yeah.
detecting 101. You,
Yeah.
you go to the house, you look at her personal things, you just try and pick like, okay, well she packed this, she didn't pack that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what you're expecting.
Is there
to
sign
get.
of a struggle in this room?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. There's
oh,
no.
oh, look, a dead body. It's her. Oh, I
There is
think-
no
Is
police
that a
work.
clue?
I mean, her corpse for most of the film is in clear view from the attic window.
Yeah.
Like he literally props her up in the rocking chair.
Yeah.
Sidebar: why is there always a rocking chair in creepy attics? Rocking chair, abandoned hobby horse, crane hook.
A globe often. I don't know why the crane hook was there.
Yeah,
That doesn't
yeah.
make any sense. There's always like a globe, a doll's house.
Yeah, there's certain things that every horror movie has in the attic. Yeah. Whereas, like, what's in your attic? I don't have an attic. You have an attic, right?
Yeah.
What's in your attic?
Not very much. Just some stuffing, noose, some old boxes. Nothing of it. Nothing of note.
What stuffing?
Insulation.
Oh, I thought you meant like what they put in turkeys at Christmas. I was like, what? Okay. So yeah, nothing spooky.
No.
Not like a hobby horse
Other than the
or
noose-
rocking horse.
Other than the noose that I mentioned, that you
The-
just kind of
Oh yes, you do.
face right over there.
So oh yes, there was a noose. Sure. Do you actually have a noose in there?
No.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
I was making a joke, but somehow you didn't make it work.
Sorry.
I don't know how that one didn't work for you. But
I'm
okay.
sorry. Sorry, that went right over my head.
Oh, I need a new co-host.
I was
next
too
year.
I was too focused on the stuffing. It's the story of my life.
Oh dear. Yeah. So worst police investigating in
Ever.
in any film ever. So they literally don't find Claire
No.
at all. Even at the end of the movie,
No, she's never found.
she's still just in the attic,
hiding in
just-
plain sight. So
Yeah.
like just propped up in the rocking chair, in the window.
Yeah.
Clearly visible. You see exterior shots where her face is clearly visible.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
It's bizarre, and I do wonder at the end of this movie when they think that they've caught the killer because
They think it's Peter, yeah.
they think it's Peter and he's dead now. Do they just cut the investigation there? Because that's the impression that I was getting. Do you think?
I mean, we'll get to the end. We'll
do you-
get
do-
to the end. The
do you-
end is insane.
Do
We'll
you think they were still looking for Claire after that?
We'll talk about it when we get to the end because the ending needs to be unpacked.
Okay,
like, yeah.
okay.
But just so Claire is dead. But before we go too far ahead, at this point we are introduced to my favorite character in this film,
Of course.
Boozy Landlady.
Yes. She's
I
hilarious. in
loved this character so much.
This. Yeah.
So she is the house mistress or the landlady or something. She seems to run this sorority house.
Yeah.
She's like a middle-aged lady who just seems to be having a ball. Like she seems to hide booze in everything.
I don't understand why she hides the booze.
No,
but
I don't
it's-
think the
it's-
girls care.
It's hilarious. And
Maybe
I love
she's
it.
just hiding it from Barb.
Yeah.
That was my only understanding of why she would go to such lengths to hide all this booze.
But they're in such creative
They are
places.
great. There's a book that's been hollowed out.
Yeah. What
There's
if somebody picked up that book?
Harry, that's not going to happen.
They
Come
don't,
on.
they don't study in this house?
No.
Okay.
What do you think all my bookshelves are full of? It ain't history. She's got in the toilet cistern. She's got a bottle of sherry
Yeah.
there. She uses as mouthwash.
Oh, she didn't even rinse it.
No, I
know-
think
I know
sherry
it's
would
not-
taste disgusting after brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're that committed to being an alcoholic, just stop brushing your teeth. You know?
I mean, rinse the bottle after you take it out of the toilet.
Yeah.
I know it's not like in the bowl of the toilet, so it's not covered in shit and that.
Sure.
But come on, have some standards, woman.
But she is fantastic, and I loved all the scenes between her and Claire's dad, who kind of comes to the house and stays for a while he's trying to figure out where his daughter's gone.
Oh yeah.
And clearly she's just been letting it all hang out. Like she has
Yeah.
not been keeping a strict house at all. She's like, they're in Claire's bedroom and there's that crazy poster of the old grandma who's like giving the middle finger. And there's all these like pornographic and, naked people. And she's just like leaning against them, trying to make it seem like
Like it's not
Like it's not
pornographic.
there.
Just
Oh.
leaning against like the nudity in the photos.
she spends like most of the best characters in this film, she dies too soon. But she spends the first like 2/3 of her screen time with just one corner of her mouth with lipstick on it because she's so drunk. Just
I
drunk
didn't notice.
Yeah, because she starts doing her lipstick and then the doorbell rings and she just never bothers to pick it up. It's great.
Great.
I love her.
Yeah.
I didn't send my daughter here to be drinking and picking up boys. Tough shit. supposed to be responsible for the morals of every girl in this goddamn house. These broads have the leaning tower of Pisa if they can get up there. I do my best. I don't know what the bastards expect of me. Christ's sake.
So the girls go down to the police station to report Claire as missing, and the police just are not taking it remotely seriously whatsoever. This is when we get Barb. I think this is when someone actually calls her often inebriated Barb, which is great.
Yeah,
and
I
then
agree.
and then also she gives out the house phone number to the police as Fellatio 574 or whatever. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, back in the day, phone numbers had like it was like, you know, when you have to give your when you give your postcode over the phone or something to a bank, and you have to use like the phonetic alphabet.
Yeah.
It's like whiskey, tango, foxtrot, whatever, November. Yeah. Basically, yes, I know what I just said. They are. Yeah. I think they used to use that for phone numbers as well. I don't know, but obviously Fellatio is not her phone number. But the police officer doesn't know what the word means, so he writes it down. Hilarity ensues. That's good. But yeah, so they're giving.
What does the word mean?
Fellatio?
Yeah.
You don't know what fellatio means?
No.
Really?
It's clearly a word from the 70s.
Oh,
I wasn't born
Harry.
then.
It means oral. It's like a blowjob.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes. Fellatio. So perform fellatio is to give a blowjob.
Cool, great. Thanks for miming it for me. That really helps.
That's good. We wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. Yeah. Wow, so that joke went completely over your head.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Anyway.
Louise didn't know either.
Really?
She didn't say anything when I asked, so yeah.
Okay, well, that's a sad little window into your life. But also, we get Claire's boyfriend storms in like a full bear pelt.
Yeah.
You notice this? He's wearing like a full bear pelt.
Fur coats in this were fantastic.
Fantastic. So, yes. So they try and report Claire missing, but no, everyone's far too distracted by the missing 13-year-old girl.
What was that about? Like, there's a missing 13-year-old girl. She turns up dead in the park. Was that just like another story that's happening?
Well, again, it's ambiguous because this film doesn't give you any answers. You could maybe consider that the killer killed that girl and then went and hid in the attic, potentially.
Okay, I was just checking.
That was my assumption, but it could just be coincidental.
Yeah, I was just checking that I didn't miss anything.
No. This film does not give you any answers to anything.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, either the killer killed that girl in the park and then fled to the house and hid in the attic, which I think is probably what happened, or it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
There's two killers.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yes, so they're all more concerned about that. So actually, on that night, later that night, a bunch of the girls and most of the community help out with the manhunt for the missing 13-year-old. They all go to the park and do the search, and that girl is found horribly, brutally murdered. Yeah. But again, we don't see anything because this movie really does keep its violence behind a closed, behind a drawn curtain, which I think is good. But yes, so the 13-year-old girl is found dead, and now we clearly have a murderer. It's on the loose in the town. Yeah. Back at the house, Barb is she's just a mess. Barb is a drunk mess at this point, and she's given this fantastic monologue about the sex lives of turtles.
I loved it.
It was great. Like, do you know that turtles can have sex for like 6 weeks, whatever it is? Like, I went to watch them one time. It was very boring. Like, it was great. It was really a great speech. Like, she was a lot of fun. Yeah. And she's doing this all to her dead friend's father, who's just like trying to stay polite. So good. So she gives that whole speech, and then she does a hairpin emotional turn out of nowhere that really made me laugh, where she's just like, do you know that turtles have sex for 3 months? Oh, I went and watched. It was so funny. You think it's my fault that Claire died, didn't you? Yeah. It was like the switch, the tonal switch was so funny.
It really was, yeah. She played this fantastically
Margot
well.
Kidder was amazing. I was so sad that she basically got fridged for half the movie because she was so good.
Did you know that there's a certain species of turtle There's a certain species of turtle that can screw for 3 days without stopping. You don't believe me, do you? Well, I mean, how could I make something like that up?
Barb, dear,
No, really, they just 3 days, 24 hours a day. Can you believe that? 3 days? I'm lucky if I get 3 minutes. Do you know how I know this? Because I went down to the zoo and I watched them. It was very boring. Well, actually, I didn't stay for the whole 3 days. I went over and I watched the zebras because they only take 30 seconds. Premature ejaculation. You think it's my fault, don't you?
Yeah, so like after this scene, she gets sent to bed.
Yeah,
basically
And then
by Glasses, who also goes to bed like shortly after. And by the time it comes for Margot Kidder's murder scene, I was like, oh, she's still in this. I thought she was already dead.
Yeah, no, it's
I
true. It puts us to bed for like
that
20 minutes.
Yeah, I forgot that she was still alive.
It's a shame. I know. I do wish. That's my one complaint. I wish they'd given her more to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes to bed because she's drunk. Yeah, and then the 13-year-old girl is found dead. Oh, and also Mrs. Mack, our favourite character, also meets a sticky end.
Yeah, she's the second to go, isn't she?
Yeah, although that is after Barb goes to bed drunk because, yeah, it's the same night. So that's it. Barb gets drunk and goes to bed.
This film did get a bit confusing with its times. Like
It did.
I kept forgetting that this was all happening in one night.
Yes, no, I think that's why I'm struggling to place the order, but that's what it is. Barb gets drunk and goes to bed.
Yeah.
Then Phil and Olivia Hussey go out searching for the missing 13-year-old, leaving Mrs. Mack alone in the house. But Mrs. Mack says, don't worry if I'm not here when you come back because I'm going to go visit my sister. Handy. Then, while the house is empty, Mrs. Mack goes to look for the cat, Claude, up in the attic, finds Claire's dead body in the rocking chair, doesn't really react to it.
No.
Just kind of goes, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then takes a crane hook to the face.
Pretty much, yeah.
And dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why, I repeat, why is there a crane hook in this attic? I don't understand.
I have no idea.
What purpose does it serve in a sorority house?
Lifting things up to the attic?
Such as a middle-aged drunk lady?
Yes.
Like, I also don't understand the mechanics of what happened. Did it go through her throat? Did it like... Because the killer... She's climbing up. She stuck her head through that little, porthole that every attic has.
I think that the killer sort of threw it, or maybe he guided it. I don't know, but basically, it just went up and sort of went under her chin. I think maybe I reckon it smacked her in the face first.
Sure.
And just caught her like
off guard.
Yeah, caught her off guard. And then the killer comes over, grabs the crane hook, and just like yanks it up through her chin into her head.
Oh, you really visualized this.
Well, you did see her later, like she was basically being suspended by the face.
True. Well, I'm just thinking about what we see, which is that we see the crane hook being thrown towards her.
Yeah.
And then we see her legs just go whoop right up. And I was like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Surely it hits her or and then she falls down, or it impales her and she's hanging there. How did it lift her? Like, what's the movement? What is the...
Well, maybe he threw it just went into her face, and then he just it's a crane.
And he just pulled her and yanked
pulled
her
her
up. Yeah. Okay, sure.
I guess.
Well, whatever. She's dead.
Yeah.
She's gone. And there's a subplot that we probably need to address, which we've talked about briefly, which is that Olivia Hussey's character has gotten pregnant by her boyfriend Peter, who is a temperamental musician type, tortured artist type, and clearly a jerk. And she says to him, "Look, I'm pregnant, but I'm going to have an abortion. I don't want this baby." And he's very much like, no, keep the baby. I want us to have the baby. That's what I always wanted. And she's like, well, screw you. I wasn't even going to tell you really particularly, but I have, and it's not your decision. Yeah, it's a very adult, non-judgmental... Well, he judges her, obviously, but the film is not judgmental at all about the fact that she wants an abortion.
Yeah. He does even multiple times, I loved it, say the line, "Don't you care about anybody other than yourself?"
Yeah.
Which...
It's like, well, maybe you should have worn a condom, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's planning to get an abortion. He is trying to convince her not to, and it kind of messes him up. He goes to his piano recital, and he has a whole emotional meltdown and starts smashing things, and he fails his exam. So
yeah,
clearly setting up the...
different order. He fails his exam and then smashes the piano.
Okay, sure, yeah. But
I
basically...
don't think anybody knows that he smashes the piano.
Oh, no, that happens after everyone leaves the room, you're right.
Yeah, because if people knew that, then they'd probably report that to the police, and he'd be a suspect way earlier.
You make a good point, yeah. But the point is, it's clearly pointing to him as somebody with a motivation
Yes.
to kill.
Yeah.
So they're having this whole argument, and she is continuing to receive these threatening mouth breathery phone calls. And she tries to report them to the police, but initially they're just like, we have no time for this. Like, even though it's happening in the house of a girl who's just gone missing, they're like, there's surely no connection here. This is fine. We'll ignore this. But eventually she does get them to listen to the point where they start to try and trace the call. They set up a whole system to trace the call. This call tracing system, like...
Oh, I loved it.
I don't know how accurate it is. I obviously wasn't alive in the 70s, but it feels like the guy who's trying to... the guy in the background who's like running... It's like he's in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing? He's just running through all these crazy factory...
Just looking for like a transistor or something that's doing something else.
It can't have been that hard. Like,
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. Also, because they really struggle... He struggles to find the transistor that's... I'm using transistor as that's the right word to use. I have no idea.
Sure.
But he's struggling to find the transistor in time before the phone gets hung up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it takes multiple attempts to get there. Why not just have somebody else helping?
Yeah, 2 people.
Like-
Yeah, many hands make light work.
Yeah. God, what a system.
It was crazy. They basically tell...
I mean, they do also give us a massive, massive clue. When they start bugging the phones, somebody asks like what the number is or something, and just like, oh, are there any other phones in the house? Oh yeah, there's that one. Oh no, you don't need to worry about that because that's the that's the landlady's phone. That's a different line.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's coming back.
Yes. Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the call was coming from inside the house.
Oh, was it the landlady's line?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. I think I missed that.
That's how they could make the phone ring.
Oh, sure. Okay. I get it. Cool. Okay. I've got it. So, yes. So they tell Olivia Hussey and her plummy English accent to just try and keep them on the phone for as long as possible next time. So she kind of tries to do that. And then at a certain point, Barb gets stabbed to death in the bed while she's still sleeping off her hangover with a ornamental unicorn.
That's the worst way to... It's the worst kind of hangover I can imagine.
But it's a disappointing end for that character because she ends up just like unable to move and just gets stabbed by this glass unicorn. And then Phyllis dies as well just by walking into a darkened room.
Yeah, like
she just walks into... It's very unceremoniously walks into Barb's bedroom. It's like, oh, I guess she's dead as well now.
Yeah.
Leaving Olivia Hussey alone in the house, but she doesn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, because Barb getting killed coincides with the carol singers who turn up.
So nobody hears
the scream. Although nobody hears anyone scream.
No.
I mean,
No.
did Phyllis die silently? What happened?
Nobody
I
hears
don't
anybody
understand.
in this.
This house is literally soundproofed room for room. Nobody hears anything going on in any other part of this house. It's crazy. So she's now alone in the house. And eventually the police, after like 3 or 4 heavy breathing phone calls, eventually the police do manage to trace the call and realize that it is in fact coming from inside the house. Drink. And and so the good police officer tells the bad police officer, call... Well, I mean, that's what it is, basically. There's one who's competent and one who is not.
Yeah.
Like, you need to call Olivia Hussey, tell her to get out of the house immediately. Don't tell her why, because that's going to make things worse. Just tell her to very calmly replace the receiver and walk out the house.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He calls her up and he says, I need you to hang up and walk out the house. And she's like, what about Phyllis and Barb? He's like, no, Phyllis and Barb are dead.
Yeah.
They've been killed because the murderer is inside the house. Now leave. And she doesn't. She hangs up the phone and she walks upstairs and she walks into Barb's bedroom and she finds Barb and Phyllis dead, murdered corpses.
Yeah.
And then she screams and the killer attacks her.
Yeah.
And she flees down into the basement, locks the door behind her. She's kind of locked in the basement. Your classic horror movie tense moment. And then her boyfriend Peter breaks in.
Yeah.
And he's looking for her and he knocks on the window.
At this point, it's heavily implied that
he's the killer.
He's the killer.
Yeah, because the killer's just been on the other door and like has now run away.
Like, by this point, you do know that the killer is a white man of about his build.
Yeah, that's all we get, basically. So Peter breaks through the window, tries to approach Olivia Hussey. She screams. We cut away. We cut to the police charging into the basement. They find the two of them together, arm in arm. Peter's dead. Olivia Hussey seems dead, but no, she's alive.
Yeah.
She has survived. She's killed Peter, clearly. In self-defense,
Yeah.
we assume. And then we get to the end of the film where she is brought up. She's sedated because she's had a very traumatic experience. So she's laid out on her own bed in the bedroom, and the police officers are just like, well, I guess he was the killer, so I guess we don't need to like search this house or do any other kind of follow-up stuff.
It's... Oh my God.
And then they all just leave.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
There's still a dead body in the window.
Yes, that they don't know about. They found the body. They found Barb and Phyllis. They have not found Claire or Mrs. Hussey, Mrs. Huxtable, whatever she's called yet.
Yeah.
They've not found them yet. They're just sitting there rotting away in the attic. Yeah.
So they have found bodies on every floor of the house.
That they've looked in.
Yeah.
But they've not bothered to look in the other ones. Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah. So the police officers basically leave, and they'd leave a sedated, rather than take us to the hospital, they just leave a heavily sedated woman who's just basically killed a man.
A pregnant woman.
A sedated pregnant woman who's just killed a man in self-defense. They leave her alone on her bed, passed out. They all leave. I think they leave one officer like watching the door.
Yeah.
The front door.
Yeah.
And then we find out the killer's still in the attic.
Yeah.
And then we just see the killer, like we hear him make his noises and he crawls out of the attic. And then the film ends on this very sinister kind of ambiguous note where we assume she's going to get murdered, but we don't know for sure.
Okay,
where we just see the killer climbing out of the ceiling, who we still don't have any idea who he is. And she's still passed out on the bed because they've just left her there to die. And that is how the film ends.
Yeah.
On a very haunting and sinister note.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's a good ending.
It is, yeah.
It's compelling. So.
Yeah, I'd say it's very original that everybody dies and the killer gets away with it.
As far as we assume, yeah. Well, but it doesn't tell you that. It just kind of lets you draw your own conclusions.
Yeah.
I think if it just ends with the killer killing everyone, that's kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a downer. But the fact that it ends on this very ambiguous, creepy, sinister note, I really like that. I think that's a very good way to end this kind of film.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Enjoyed the film.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Good.
All right, do you want to do drinking games?
Sure, yeah.
So first one I've got here. Drink whenever Margot Kidder drinks.
Drink when Margot Kidder drinks. Wow, I mean, that's deadly. So it's basically every time she's on screen.
Yeah.
But sure, yeah, drink along with Margot Kidder. That could be fun. Yeah.
Optional, drink along with the
Oh, drink along with Sherry-lady. Yeah, that's better, yeah. Well, I definitely had drink for hidden booze. Which is basically from her character. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Every time she pulls out a bottle of sherry from some orifice or another.
Yeah. Drink whenever there's a murder.
Drink for murder, yeah, absolutely. There's not like a huge body count.
No.
They're all quite impactful, but yeah. But yeah, that's very good. I had drink for 70s fashion.
Yeah, definitely.
I had so much fun with the way everyone was dressed in this movie.
Can we throw in drink for 70s hair as well?
Oh, I was going to I have a separate drinking game for hats, specifically for indoor hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mrs. Mac, what is she called? Mrs. Mac?
Oh, I don't know.
Mrs. Mac is never seen without a hat, but she's never seen outdoors. She's always just wearing a hat, an indoor hat. Like, even when she's getting ready for bed, she's like wearing a nightie and she's drinking a cooking sherry, brushing her teeth in a hat. Who wears a hat indoors?
I don't know.
All hours of the day.
I don't know. Maybe she's going bald.
Maybe she is. I don't know. I was fascinated by her hat. I was fascinated by her fascinator.
Great. Great.
That's a good joke, wasn't it? I'm proud of that one. Yeah, just drink. Oh, Olivia Hussey had an amazing hat as well. When she tells Peter that she's having an abortion, she's wearing this like pink pussy vagina hat.
Yeah,
great. So many hats. I guess it's cold in Canada. You need to wear a hat, but yeah. Loved the hats.
Drink whenever the phone rings.
Oh yes. Yes, definitely drink for a ringing phone. That's a good one.
That's a common theme throughout the movie.
Drink for horror movie cliches, which this film probably invents a lot of them.
Yeah,
and subverts a couple of them. Yeah, but it's they're all there. You know, there's definitely a lot there. You know, the call coming from inside the house, the mysterious figure hiding in the closet, the sassy best friend getting killed. You know,
everybody's getting killed off.
The police not taking it seriously. There's a lot. There's a lot there. You could definitely just drink for all that. Yeah.
Yes. Drink for bad police work.
Oh, yeah, I have that too. Drink for abysmal police work. Not just bad, abysmal.
The worst.
Yeah, the worst you'll ever see. Drink for no longer PC dialogue.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of use of the C word in this film.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bob saying, you can't rape a townie. It's a pretty harsh, Bob. There's definitely more. Yeah, there's very much a lot of very un-PC dialogue that wouldn't work today, but yeah, good fun for the time.
Yes, it certainly was. Yeah, even then, it's still not the worst, is it?
Sure, no, absolutely not.
A drunk person being inappropriate and somebody said the C word a few times.
Basically, yeah.
It's not terrible.
No.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, I'd drink every time Olivia Hussey's accent wanders a little bit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes she was so very British, and sometimes she was just okay.
Yeah.
She kind of really came and went, but
Yeah, I guess.
when she was really going for it, she was really going for it. Like, that accent was very plummy.
I just loved her phone voice.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Pardon me. Hello. Speak up. It was like she was in The Crown. It was like Olivia Colman in The Crown.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, very good.
Hello? Pardon? Who? Bob, it's for you. Long distance.
And drink for Barb sass.
Yeah.
Every time Barb is a sassy bitch.
She really is.
Great. Like, yeah. Why don't you stick your fingers in a plug socket? That'll give you a charge.
Yep.
Yeah. So much Barb.
Okay.
Did you watch the... I'm sure you didn't. Because we initially were going to do one of the remakes. Did you watch any of the remakes like this? I guess you didn't. No, yeah.
Did you?
I watched the trailers for them. They look generic.
Yeah.
They look like they took this amazing original horror movie and just turned it into a generic, like, Blumhouse Fantasy Island kind of,
Right,
here's a generic teen
Yeah.
slasher. Although, Dawn from Buffy is in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I can say to recommend it.
Cool.
Dawn from Buffy's in it. That's it. That's all I've got. But yeah. She may have played Barb. I don't know.
Okay, that's
I'm sure she wasn't as good.
kind of something.
It's kind of, almost something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Great. Well, listeners, if you feel like you kind of wanted a few more drinking games there, you wanted to talk about the movie a bit more, or if not that it's happened yet, you want us to give more sequel ideas and hear more listener submissions, then you can get extended episodes of our show if you go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. You can subscribe for as much or as little as you want. It's a pay-as-you-feel system, so whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd really appreciate it. You do get a few more features as well. You get a 30-second advert slot where you can talk about whatever you want. We put that into the main show once a month for you. Also, on the main show, we do a Patreon episode once a month where you get to pick a film for us, and you can come and guest if you want to. You don't have to, though. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Facebook group, something else. I don't know.
Yeah, you can join our exclusive Facebook group. You get a bonus episode every week, ideally.
Yeah.
Bonus episodes, promo slot, extended episodes. That's it.
Yeah, all that. Patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Sequels. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. So what I've done this week actually is just because I think the most unique aspect of this film, or the most interesting aspect of this film, is how it doesn't give you any kind of clue on who the killer is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once it tells you it's not Peter, basically,
Yeah.
then it leaves it very open to interpretation. And there's not even, like you said earlier, there's not even a lot of characters who it could be. It's incredibly...
Or like if it was any of them, there wouldn't really be anything.
No, yeah. So I have done 3 sequel ideas, and I've not done a lot with them. I'm going to hopefully brainstorm a lot of them with you here. But just 3 different ideas for who the killer might be.
Okay, cool.
And that's based on...
I was thinking of doing that one, and I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, good. So we've not done the same thing. Great. So my first one of the 3 is that the killer is the cat. Because that cat seemed to be in on it.
Yeah.
Like I think he lures Claire up. Like I think Claire is looking for Claude the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes into the closet and gets plastic bagged.
Yeah.
And then certainly Mrs. Mack is looking for the cat.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens to her.
Okay.
So I think the cat, if not being the killer, the cat is certainly in on it with the killer.
Okay, so...
Because also the other characters don't even acknowledge that they have a cat.
That's a good point.
Nobody other than people who get killed because they're looking for the cat ever acknowledge that the house has a cat. It's not like Olivia Hussey at any point. It's like, oh, a cat.
Yeah, I guess. But maybe it's just one of those things where the cat just comes and goes.
Sure, yeah. But I just like the idea that the cat is in on it somehow.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
is it...
So is the cat like mind controlling anybody, or what's the deal here? How's the cat actually killing people?
Well, this is the debate. I was thinking, could it be that is the cat a demon?
Okay.
Or is the cat...
I mean, the answer is yes.
The
It's a
answer is
cat.
yes, all cats
it's a
are
cat.
demons, yeah. But is the cat a shapeshifter who can also become a human-shaped murderer? Because I don't think the cat could...
Okay, this is
don't
very
think...
out-of-the-box thinking.
Well, I don't think the cat could, like, actually on its own could maneuver a crane hook.
No, I don't think so.
And as funny as the mental image is, I don't think the cat could also hold a plastic bag over a grown woman's head until she choked to death.
Have you seen that new Tom and Jerry trailer?
No.
Okay, well, we'll watch that afterwards. But
they're bringing Tom and Jerry back.
Yeah.
That seems unnecessary.
It looks all right, actually. But anyway, let's keep talking about this.
Is it the same animation style?
Vaguely. It's kind of like Space Jam. It's animated, but in the real world. But like, not like bad 3D CGI animated.
Okay.
It's like it looks good.
Okay. Can't see how that would work, but fine. Okay.
Did you watch Sonic last year? Did we do that?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I'd say that the trailer looks like it's going to be as good as that.
I don't think Tom and Jerry has a fan base. Like,
No, I really don't.
no. Do they still have the quite racist depiction of the old black lady with the stockings?
She's not made an appearance in the trailer. No.
I'd imagine she's been written out. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so I could see Tom from Tom and Jerry being able to like maneuver a crane hook or something.
Well, we do see Claude the cat, and it's like a white, long hair.
What if it was the cat that did the murders, but the cat was actually just Tom trying to kill Jerry and failing miserably?
Oh, I see. So it's your classic slapstick where the mouse runs up maybe Claire's head, and Tom puts the plastic bag over the mouse to kill the mouse, but the mouse runs away.
Yeah.
He ends up accidentally suffocating his own owner.
Yeah.
And then maybe Jerry's like sitting on the crane hook being like, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah.
Tom swipes at it. Poor old Mrs. Mac dead.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you know what? That makes it sound like it's more of a combined effort with Tom and Jerry.
No,
So Jerry is kind of like baiting Tom into doing the murders.
So the whole film is just the misadventures of Tom and Jerry accidentally causing a bunch of murders of humans.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where I was going, but I like it. I like that angle.
I did not see it going that way either.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, I was thinking it's either that or the cat is working with the human who's hiding in the closet, in the attic, sorry.
Yeah.
And the cat is like the bait, but the cat knows it's the bait.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's one of those things where the cat has a human voice.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it can speak, but like it's got like an inner monologue.
Yeah.
And maybe this is its loyal master. It teams up with this human who wants to kill people, and the cat's like, yeah, I'm on board for this.
I'm gonna go Alec Baldwin.
Yes, I guess a cat with the voice of Alec Baldwin. It would have to be someone who has like a deep voice that sounds very self-satisfied. So Alec Baldwin works well. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, a cat with the voice of Alec Baldwin, killing teenage sorority girls. Maybe Maybe the sequel opens, or it's not a sequel. It's really like just a retelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's on like death row.
Right.
And like a mass murderer is killed, like given the death penalty in the electric chair, dead.
Okay.
By some mysterious mix-up of like crossed wires or magic spells or whatever. His soul ends up in the body of a cat.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with
he's
that.
a deranged, embittered serial killer in the body of a cat who then teams up with a new deranged potential serial killer, and they work together to kill teenage girls in sorority houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally works.
So that's basically it. That is Black Christmas 2.
Maybe the person he teams up with is actually Peter.
Yes, there we go.
And so when Peter dies at the end, but you still hear these noises and stuff.
It's the cat.
It's the cat. It's Alec Baldwin cat.
I like that. That's what we're calling it. The Alec Baldwin cat. Great, yeah.
So Alec Baldwin the cat is... He baited Peter into it. So Peter was guilty.
Yeah.
He wasn't the only guilty party.
Yeah, because who would suspect the cat?
Yeah, and so now Barb is basically still alive because the cat is the only thing that's trying to kill her.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that a cat could kill somebody if it tried to and they were asleep?
I think the day that cats learn to use their opposable thumbs, the human race is over. I've had this theory for a while.
Yeah.
As soon as they figure out they can open their own cans, we're done for as a species. Like, they're just going to cut us while we sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dogs will be the first to go.
Probably, yeah. So that's my first idea. The killer is the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Yeah.
Good.
So this one, like I said, I wanted to do a Halloween thing.
Sure.
That's just where this story went. So I've called it Black Halloween, for lack of a better name.
Okay.
I guess that going with just Halloween was clearly what they
That
decided
was
to do
taken,
instead.
Yeah.
So after the event of the original...
9 months after the event of the original? What, 10 months?
Just after.
I'm just thinking like from Christmas to Halloween.
Oh yeah, that kind of works. But no, that's not what I've got here.
Okay.
So Jess, she did survive.
Oh, good.
And she moved away and suppressed the memories because all her friends died.
Sounds sensible, yeah.
And her boyfriend did it, as far as she knows.
Sure, yeah.
For whatever reason, she decides not to have an abortion, though.
Oh, really?
Maybe just be like, as part of the suppressed memories. Like she forgets. I don't know.
I'd imagine it'd be pretty top of mind, but sure, okay.
There's a lot of mental trauma going on. I'd say
Okay.
that's reasonable.
Okay, fine.
The forgetting maybe not so reasonable, but either way,
She has the baby.
she decides to have the baby for whatever reason. But when the daughter asks about her father, years later, obviously, Jess would only ever say that he was gone. Like she wouldn't ever say what happened or what was going on.
So how old
because
is
it just wasn't in the front of her mind.
So how old is the daughter when this film picks up?
46.
Wow.
So 46 years later, Jess has had the baby.
Is that because this film came out in 1976?
Yes.
Oh, well played. Who's playing
74.
74, sorry.
I mean, to be honest, the daughter isn't really a character in this massively. It's
still Olivia Hussey, yeah.
It's gonna be the granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was thinking make it her daughter, but then her daughter in 2020 would be 46. I wanted to say that in present day. So no, okay, let's make it her granddaughter.
Okay.
So
because you can't possibly have a 46-year-old woman have a meaningful role in Hollywood these days.
Well, no, I'm also setting it in college.
Oh, okay, fine. Ever heard of a mature student, Harry?
Anyway, so Jess's youngest granddaughter, Barb.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, yeah. Named after her departed friend.
Yeah. Is now in college and finds herself in the same sorority house as the original, but not that anybody has put that together.
Oh, it's just pure coincidence.
Pure coincidence happens to be the exact same house.
Maybe Grandma hears about it, but she's a bit loopy at this point. Unless Grandma's going to be a plot point in your film.
No, not massively.
Maybe Grandma hears that she's going back to the old sorority house, and she's like, "No, that's where the bad things happen." And oh, Grandma, you're so senile.
Yeah. And so we pick up a Halloween weekend, where obviously the sorority house is fully decorated and everybody's dressed up to varying levels of standards. Everybody and all their boyfriends and girlfriends are sitting in the living room having a party. They are not socially distancing because they are.
Is this film happening in the COVID world? You just threw that in there, yeah.
Students don't seem to socially distance.
They don't, no.
Especially when it's a Halloween party. But yeah, whatever. One of the boyfriends, he tells a ghost story about a rapist, which scares all the girls a bit. And then he finishes the story with a very inappropriate but dirty joke, which makes everyone laugh or punch him. This then sparks one of the other guys to start telling another ghost story, and he brings up the legend of the pianist murderer. And he tells us the story of the first film.
Okay.
He goes around all the other girls that are sat in a circle and just tells a story about how a girl died in a bedroom in a sorority house.
Right.
And we're recounting a lot of the same stories that happened in the original.
Sure.
So it's kind of eerie because we know that it's true. They just think it's a ghost story.
They're just telling it as a standard ghost story. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's passed into legend at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, just as his story kind of draws to a close and things go a bit quiet, there's suddenly a big, heavy knock at the door, which makes everybody scream very comically. Barb goes and answers it.
Now, does Barb take after the original Barb? Is she like a drunken hussy? Or?
I'd say not, but there certainly could be another drunken person in this. Okay. The reason being, I'm going to make Barb in this pregnant. Just to kind of
full circle it.
Yeah. Okay. So no, she is not drinking right now.
Okay, good for her.
It's heavily raining outside, so the guy that knocked at the door is soaked through. Not that she knows it, but this guy is a spitting image of Peter from the first film.
Okay.
Like, he looks exactly the same.
Okay.
And if you want somebody to play him, Louise thought that Peter looked a bit like Zac Efron.
Yeah, I'm sure if the film was made today.
A bit more of a worn-out Zac Efron rather than
sure.
the very pretty man that he is now.
All right, Harry.
Moving on. But this guy, he's wearing a tailcoat, the kind that a pianist would wear.
Okay.
So it's immediately heavily implied, oh, this is the pianist murderer.
Sure,
he looks like the guy from the last film.
Yeah, he's got the high neckline of villainy. We've seen it before, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Barb, being very naive, she immediately invites him in, from the rain. And he grumbles a thank you to her. And she notices that as he walks, he makes a lot of weird noises.
Like the same noises
as the phone calls.
So just randomly making like pig noises and screaming and just being like...
sort of lightly, like quietly under his breath sort of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, like this guy's off.
Okay.
She brings him into the living room. People make space for him on the sofa. He tells them he's lost and he's cold and he's wet, so they give him a towel and a blanket and make him a big mug of tea. He notices that everybody is quite drunk apart from Barb, who notices he isn't drinking. He puts two and two together very immediately, even though all her friends haven't. And he starts a very inappropriate conversation about abortion and where his opinion falls. You can probably guess. Everybody else in the room disagrees with him and they ask him to leave. he starts to get a bit forceful, and he's a bit scary, and he really wants to stay. So the men escort him out, trying to intimidate him. Even though he does leave, he doesn't feel intimidated. And once he's outside, we see a point of view shot of him pretending to walk away, but then going round to the back of the house, climbing in through the attic. That's what I've got as that's basically an intro to a remake.
Okay. So what do you think his relation is to the original killer?
I was thinking a sort of like a long lost grandson.
Okay, sure. So the killer already had a kid, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So him and Barb are cousins,
Oh,
essentially. So they're related. They have the same
interesting. Okay.
murderer's granddad.
That would fall in well with, that's a classic horror movie thing, definitely. So, okay, I can see that.
And it's kind of got sort of elements, not intentionally, of Star Wars, like following in your family's footsteps.
Okay, so it's all destiny and fate.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Just like he was destined, this guy was destined to be a serial killer.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure where to go from there, but I was basically just thinking a standard slasher sort of thing. But
What do you think when it gets to the end? So obviously Barb's our final girl.
Yeah.
Do you reckon, are we going to end it like the original where it's going to be ambiguous, or are we just going to let her kill him, or is he going to kill her?
I think I'd like to sort of close off the story a little bit. So, like, the first one left it very open.
Yeah.
Or, like, not, but almost like a part one, and then this could be the part two.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'd like to try and sort of close it in a way. Maybe he, like, I don't know, turns good in some way, or I've no
It's a
idea.
long walk, but
Yeah.
sure, yeah. He gets a lot of therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
No, okay.
You know, I think I'd just like, I think it's most likely that a film like this would just try and sort of renew the franchise and
So
make it
would
more of an
still
ongoing
end on
thing.
a
So
ambiguous note, yeah.
yeah, I think it would end with like a standard, like she kills him or whatever. She gets away, you know, hugs the police and whatever.
Maybe it's a role reversal thing.
Okay.
Where it actually turns out the whole film makes you think, oh, he's the brother, cousin, second grandson, whatever, of the original guy. He's the killer. Maybe it's where it turns around and she's the killer.
Okay.
And he saves someone from her.
Right. Okay. I see.
But then maybe he goes to prison anyway because everyone thinks it's him. And she turns it
Okay.
around.
Yeah. No, I like that. So like she's maybe after to get a little political here, maybe after the conversation that everybody had about abortion, she just realized that she disagrees with everybody in the room.
Sure.
And so then she starts murdering off all her housemates one by one. He clocks on to what's happening, and tries to put a stop to it. God, that'd be quite the story if like the serial killer is a pregnant woman.
Yes, that's not really been done much before. So.
No. God, imagine the outcry if somebody actually made a film like that.
Well, there's a film called Prevenge, which is about a serial killer who's a pregnant woman.
Really?
Yeah, I've been tempted to do it, but it's not. It doesn't really fit this season. But
No.
I've had thoughts of doing it. I've not seen it, but it's supposed to be good.
Cool.
But yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to like. It could be like because everyone suspects him, nobody suspects her, and it's just like a whole like against type kind of thing. So I think that could work really.
Do you think that you'd finish it where she comes out on top?
Yeah, I think
he goes to prison.
Yeah, I think he rescues everyone from her multi-murder attempt.
Not everyone,
but whoever she's attacking.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she manages to frame him because she's the innocent. You know, she seems like the innocent, helpless girl, and so he gets arrested anyway and carted off to prison, or even maybe shot by a police officer, whatever.
Maybe he's the only person who knows that she's the murderer.
Yes,
so let everybody else just. Like even the other housemates, they assume that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So he either gets killed by the police or just arrested, whatever, and then she's left, and the film can end with her like, she's still gonna try and kill people, but nobody suspects her. So I get it leaves it ambiguous.
Yeah,
she's got all the power.
Oh, that's good, and that's really just in the same sort of mood as the original. I think.
Yeah, it ends on that unsettling, haunted note. Yeah,
nice,
Yeah,
nice. Thank you.
you.
Yeah, you really saved that one.
Good. Well, there was some of that. So. Okay, great. So my second, as I say, my three ideas are all pretty much the same. It's just like, who is the killer?
Yeah.
So the first one, obviously, the killer was the cat. The second one, what if the killer is Santa Claus?
Okay.
Because this is ostensibly a Christmas film.
Sure.
So, and also he's hiding in the attic the whole time. So maybe he came down the chimney.
Sure.
Maybe this is like, I showed you the trailer for Fat Man, didn't I? That
yes.
Terrible but also fascinating looking Mel Gibson film.
Yeah.
Where Santa's just this like bitter old like crazy person. Maybe it's like that. Maybe by the 1970s, all these teenagers, they don't believe in Santa anymore. They're having sex and doing drugs and just generally living their best lives.
Yeah.
Maybe like Santa has become so weakened by people not believing in him anymore that he goes insane and he becomes desperate for revenge against the generation that has like forgotten him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes to the house initially with his sack over his shoulder, filled with toys and presents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to the front door and he looks in, and it's just all like teenagers smoking and drinking and having sex.
Yeah.
It's like, these are not good children. They're not on the good list.
I've not got enough coal in my sleigh for this.
These are on the naughty list, but it also breaks something in him when he realizes that right now all children are on the naughty list because just society has changed. And so rather than leave them a piece of coal, he climbs up the side of the building as only Santa Claus can, hides in the attic, goes on a killing spree.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You think that explains any of the phone calls that make lots of weird noises?
It's Santa. Maybe those weird animal noises are the reindeer.
Oh dear.
Yeah, like he's just in the stable with like Donna and Blitzen and Rudolph and all that lot, and he's just being like, "Have you been a good girl? Have you been a good boy?"
Oh, he's just talking to his pets. It's innocent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does still say he wants to like lick their pretty pink cunts. So I don't know how you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's the new. Maybe there's 3 new reindeers: pretty pink and cunts. They've had to recruit. Donna and Blitzen and Dasher have been retired, and now it's pretty pink and cunts. But maybe it's all just a horrible misunderstanding. It's just Santa trying to reach out, and it's just a bunch of the misunderstandings continue. And he kills the kid. Well, I guess Claire was the good girl, and maybe he meant to kill Barb because Barb was like clearly the naughty girl.
Yeah,
but he kills Claire instead, and then he's racked with guilt, and so then he becomes obsessed with killing the naughtiest girls. Ends up killing all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe they got so drunk they forgot to leave out like some Santa snacks. Like there's no mince pie, there's no carrot for Rudolph. So he becomes so twisted and bitter. He's like, right, these girls got to die. And he's haunting. He's the man with the bag. Yeah, it's Black Christmas 2, the man with the bag. And he's just killing all the girls. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Okay. And my last idea for who might be the killer is, what if the killer actually is Olivia Hussey?
Okay.
Because we know she kills Peter, who is maybe a dick with bad attitudes about abortion, but as far as we know, is not actually in on it. Do we ever see her with the other girls when they die? Could it be that she has a split personality?
Let's see.
I think because you never see the killer.
Is she not still downstairs when Claire dies?
Far as we know, but that could just be like a manifestation.
Okay. I guess it works.
So it's like, because the fact that the original film never shows us the killer in anything more than like an eyeball and a hand. Maybe it is her all the time, and even she doesn't know because she's got this split personality.
What about when she runs down to the basement and there's somebody banging on the door?
It's all in her mind.
Okay.
It's her paranoia.
Okay.
Now, obviously, I
guess there's nobody else there to see it, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this version of events is potentially not very PC about treatments of mental illness, but let's just we can wave over that for now.
Okay,
but
sure.
The idea is that she is manifesting all of the symptoms herself. So she doesn't know it's her, but it is in fact her. And with the end of the movie is her realizing, oh my god, I killed my friends, and then we get the flashbacks, and she's the one who stabbed Barb with the. With the unicorn, the chess piece. She killed Phyllis. However, she killed Mrs. Mack with the crane hook. It was all her. She's always been the killer. Yeah, because she just, I don't know. Maybe she was tired of being the good girl all the time and being like the one who kept them all together. And maybe it just got on top of her. And so,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's literally all I've got for that. But I just like the idea that actually Olivia Hussey and her crazy English accent are the killers. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. But I think it's...
What would she say when she's doing the murdering?
Just like, God save the Queen. Tally-ho!
Tally-ho!
Tally-ho! The British are coming! The British are coming! I mean, she is British, so no, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah. She's
Tally-ho.
Tally-ho, yeah. Yeah, so Olivia Hussey is the killer. That's my third and final idea.
I like it. It's very good.
Cool. Great. Shall we get to listener submissions then?
Yeah.
Have you got anything this week? No. Nope. Okay. Right. So listener submissions. What have we got? I have a few this week. Rob London said, because this film was shot in Canada, how about Black Boxing Day?
Okay.
I guess Americans don't have Boxing Day. I don't know. But we have it here as well in the UK, Rob, just so you know. So, Black Boxing Day. The killer finds that his intended victims are even easier to kill than usual because they ate too much and they're badly hungover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the killer stalking through like Boxing Day when all the killers are like full of food, bloated, hungover, can't run away.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy pickings.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Lightfoot said, New Year's Day of the Dead, and you thought your hangover was bad. Clearly a theme emerging here.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
David Handloss said, New Year's Slay.
Nice.
Which sounds like a RuPaul's Drag Race maxi challenge, but also I can see it again. Yeah. New Year's Slay. Igevny Kopman said, Black Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make it inclusive. Great. And finally, Ryan Kleemer said Black Cagemas. So Nicolas Cagemas, but Black Christmas. So
yeah.
Nicolas Cage is somehow Nicolas Cage plays Santa.
Yeah.
or Olivia Hussey, who knows? He can play them all. Who cares? Could be anything.
He's got range.
He's got all the range in the world. Absolutely. Okay. So thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, all of which you can also leave a 5-star review, which really helps us to reach out to new listeners. So please do consider doing that. It really helps us. As mentioned earlier, we are also available on Patreon, which is exclusively for the people who would rate us more than 5 stars if they could. You can find all the links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry.
Yeah.
So, I have 3 winter-themed films that I would like us to do this season.
Okay.
We might not have time to do them all.
Okay.
Do you want to bring up some kind of dice-based app on your phone?
Sure.
I'm going to leave it to fate because there's 3 films I'm equally interested in doing.
Okay. Okay. Do I have
Just do a standard 6-sided dice. Roll it. I'm just going to divide it as in my head. I know what my division is.
1 second. I used to have that for just such occasions, but then I thought, you know what? If I need that, I'll just download one.
Well,
here we go. Cool.
Roll it. What's the number between 1 and 6?
3.
Okay. We are going to do next week reindeer games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've talked it up a lot. The time has come.
Okay.
Reindeer games.
Reindeer games. Can I ask what the other 2 were?
No, because I might bring them back next time.
Okay.
I don't know how many picks I'm getting this Christmas season, so I might still use them. But
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Reindeer games.
Yes.
No idea what it is.
Cool. Keep it that way.
Great.
Okay. Well,
cool.
Thank you very much, listeners. Thanks for joining in, and join us next week for reindeer games.
Yeah. Happy December, everybody.
Happy December. Ho, ho, ho. 'Tis the season and all that shit. Yeah.
Bah humbug.
Bah humbug.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello? Pardon? Who? Bob, it's for you. Long distance.